Green Lantern Beware My Power has officially been released digitally, and I have to say, I really like this movie. My favorite aspect of this movie is that it doesn't feel like a sub 2-hour-long movie, and that's a good thing. Green Lantern Beware My Power capitalizes on the viewer's curiosity as its multi-layered story, which is a mystery, unravels. Meaning that if you're someone who isn't interested in this movie's mystery, you'll more than likely not enjoy this movie. However, I'm relieved to say that if you're even minorly interested in this movie's story, for every question presented in this movie, there's a well thought out answer. It's to the point where once the movie allows you to appreciate the answer it's giving you, it doesn't allow you to lose your interest because the movie then begins to use that answer to present the next question of its ongoing mystery. And truthfully, I really appreciated that because to me, this prevents Green Lantern Beware My Power from having a dull moment. Even along this movie's mystery, which is a fairly serious story, there are small moments to appreciate because they break up the overarching seriousness of what's happening. And that brings me to the star of this movie, Green Arrow. I won't spoil what Green Arrow's purpose is in this movie, but what I will say is that he's the standout character of this movie. And it's not even in a way that steals the spotlight from Jon Stewart. It's more like Green Arrow is the best complimentary side character one could ask for in a movie like this. If you watch this movie, there is absolutely no way in hell that he won't remind you of yourself, your best friend, or at least someone in your life. Why? He's a sarcastic friend that either you are or you have in your life who in the most unintentional way possible fails to ever read the room, but that's who they are, so you love them anyway. Whether it's a super serious moment or a moment filled with a ton of tension or even a small moment where they're doing an exposition dump, without any hesitation at all, he will somehow manage to give a sarcastic response. And because of this, he's the perfect complimentary piece to put alongside a character like Jon Stewart who's super serious or a man of few words throughout this movie. I want to stress though, for those who may be concerned, no, Green Arrow isn't written like an MCU character. It's not like the movie aims to have him say overly quirky things. It's just that the things he says in this movie have hilarious timing, which makes him a lot funnier than he probably should be. As for Jon Stewart, this movie does a good enough job with him as a protagonist. He has the right moral compass and he does say the right things that need to be said when he feels the need to say them. For example, he's very much a good leader because he manages to almost consistently calm everyone down in heated moments. And as he learns more about how this whole superhero thing works, you begin to see his dynamic with Green Arrow shift into a positive direction. I think my main gripe about Jon though is that you spend the majority of the movie waiting for the moment that you want, and by the time it finally comes, you can't help but want more of it. He spends the entire movie trying to figure out who he is now that he's become a Green Lantern, and you do get the satisfaction of seeing him grow to become an actual hero and warm up to becoming a Green Lantern. But you almost feel robbed of the super hype hero moments that this movie could have used more of. However, when that moment comes towards the end of the movie, it's absolutely worth the journey that Jon had to take to become who he is by the end of the movie. So really, this gripe kind of balances out in the long run, but I could see how people may hate this aspect of Green Lantern Beware My Power. Another thing I'd like to mention is something that most people may not appreciate as much as I do, but it's worth pointing out. I thoroughly appreciate how this movie handles its exposition dumps. At this point in time, I've seen a ton of superhero movies, and more often than not, superhero movies have the worst exposition dumps. I'm happy to say that Green Lantern Beware My Power isn't one of them. When those exposition dumps come, it's done in a way that fits the moment in the movie. It's presented more so as a discovery moment because the characters are trying to figure things out, and less of, well, this character knows this, but the viewer doesn't, so we need to overly explain this to make things make sense now. To give a prime example of this movie has a moment very early on where it goes over what a Green Lantern is and what a Green Lantern's purpose is as a hero, along with bits and pieces of information about the Green Lantern Corps. This movie simplifies it in a way that is incredibly digestible for not only the viewer but for Jon as well, considering he's trying to figure out what the purpose of his ring is when this small exposition dump is happening. It's such a small thing that this movie does, but it stands stands out in the large scheme of things, considering this movie could have done far more exposition dumps if it wanted to. At the end of the day, I really like Green Lantern Beware My Power, from its overarching mystery that constantly feels like a problem that needs to be solved, to its use of characters like Green Arrow, to its plot twist that blew my mind. It's hard for me to not like this movie. Unlike a certain DC animated movie, DC's Injustice, this movie doesn't fail to meet its potential nor feel like an incomplete movie. In fact, I'd even argue that this movie arguably overachieves what it's setting out to do, depending on how the viewer feels about this movie's story. From start to finish, Green Lantern Beware My Power held my interest, kept me invested, and more importantly, ended on an incredibly satisfying note that you may not see coming. And if you enjoyed as much as I did, you'll probably wish you could watch more of DC's ongoing Tomorrowverse to see what Green Lantern and Green Arrow do next in this universe together.